With the release of James Gunn's Superman, there are now 7 live-action solo Superman movies, so let's rank them all. Hello everybody, my name is Jesse and welcome to my channel. James Gunn's Superman is finally out. I really enjoyed this movie, and with its release there are now 7 live-action solo Superman movies. So today I'm going to give you my ranking of all 7 of these movies. I am not including Batman vs. Superman or Zack Snyder's Justice League or anything like that. This is only solo Superman movies, so let's get into it. Coming in last place for me is Superman 3. This movie was a big step down from the first 2 original movies. Richard Pryor's character gets way more screen time than is really necessary. Superman himself doesn't get a lot of screen time. There's hardly any action with Superman, and overall I just felt like this movie was very boring. I was kind of just felt pretty zoned out for a lot of the movie. On top of that, it's laughably bad at times. So a lot of it just really didn't work for me and just kind of felt like a bunch of nonsense. And I think if I'm going to go to one of the 4 original movies, this is probably the one that I'm least likely to go back to. Number 6 for me is going to be Superman Returns. This is kind of a weird one because it's like a half remake, half reboot, half sequel. Brandon Routh is the new Superman in this, and essentially the whole plot is astronomers found what they thought to be the remains of Krypton. So Superman disappeared for like 5 years to try and go find it and see if it really was Krypton. And now he comes back after being away, and the world has essentially moved on without him, and the world is wondering if they even really need Superman anymore. And I think there's a lot to enjoy in this movie, really. There's some great action. Being a little bit more recent, the visual effects are definitely far better. It's directed by Bryan Singer, the same guy that did the first 2 X-Men movies, and watching this, I did feel that. I definitely got kind of the same vibes as those first 2 X-Men movies, and I enjoyed both of those. So naturally, I did enjoy this movie quite a bit. There's a really cool action sequence involving a plane kind of early on in the movie. That was a standout. And overall, I think Brandon Routh does a good job. Kevin Spacey is also great as Lex Luthor. I think he plays a great, more evil, more maniacal version of the character rather than the kind of mustache-twirling, goofy version that Gene Hackman was. And I actually would have liked this movie a decent amount more if it had been shorter. It just came to a point where it got way too long for its own good. The movie's 2.5 hours long. It does not need to be that long, especially the final like 20 minutes just felt really drawn out for no real reason. And so I think that's my biggest gripe with this movie, is it just got way too long for no necessary reason. Number 5, I have Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. I know this is a lot of people's least favorite, and for good reason. This movie is very goofy, and I think this is legitimately one of the goofiest comic book movies that I have ever seen, and it honestly makes me laugh just thinking about it. But the reason this one is so much higher on my list is because I love movies that are so bad they are funny, and that is exactly what this movie is. Whereas Superman 3 was just flat out boring, and I was zoned out for the whole thing, this movie kept me entertained because the goofy villain, Lex Luthor's over-the-top plan, the stupid dialogue, over-the-top delivery from the villain, and the wacky visual effects that somehow got worse over the course of all 4 of these original movies. it I was watching it with my dad, and we were both just laughing our asses off the entire time. It was surprisingly entertaining, and it's not really meant to be funny, which in turn makes it that much funnier. So I love movies like that, and I honestly, if I was in the mood for a laughably bad movie, I think this might be one of my top picks. Next up, I have Superman 2. I think this is a great follow-up to that first original Richard Donner movie. You get more of the great kind of duality with Christopher Reeve playing both Clark Kent and Superman. All of that is great. Furthering the relationship with Clark and Lois is great. Lex Luthor, Gene Hackman is awesome as Lex Luthor. I love him. He plays the character very well. And I think everything that you loved from the first movie, this movie does it as well. I think it just does it in a little bit of a lesser way. This movie just doesn't have quite the charm and the magic that the first movie did. At number 3, I have the 1978 Richard Donner Superman with Christopher Reeve. This movie is a classic for a reason, and it's undeniably, it kind of laid the foundation for most superhero movies. This was kind of the original superhero blockbuster, and I think you can see some influences from many different things in this movie that lots of comic book movies after it took. John Williams' score is great. I love Christopher Reeve as Superman himself and Clark Kent. He plays both characters very well. And like I said before, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor is great. The visual effects, surprisingly for 1978, look pretty good. I mean, I can see how someone can see them as like goofy, and yeah, sometimes they do, but it was 50 years ago. What do you want? I think for 50 years ago, it looks pretty good, and it just has the sense of hope that you want from a Superman movie. My runner-up is Man of Steel. I really enjoy this movie. I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he does a fantastic job. He's got the physique. He's got that presence that Superman should have. The action is incredible, obviously. Again, with it being far more recent, the visual effects look absolutely insane. Zod is a really decent villain. I like Amy Adams as Lois Lane, and overall, it looks really good. I really enjoy the kind of more sci-fi approach that Zack Snyder took with this movie, especially the opening scene of the destruction of Krypton. Looks really cool. It's really entertaining. Hans Zimmer's score is, of course, absolutely incredible, and that first flight sequence with the flight track on the soundtrack is awesome. One of the best moments in the movie, and this is a really good Superman movie. I enjoy it a lot more than most people do, I think, and I just really like what Zack Snyder did with this movie. I think this movie has kind of soured on me over the last little while because of like Batman vs Superman. I wasn't crazy about, and just watching the original movies and seeing James Gunn's Superman with both just more hopeful versions. This movie has just kind of, I don't love it quite as much as I used to, but it's still really enjoyable. But coming in number 1 for me, my favorite Superman movie is James Gunn's Superman. This was my most anticipated movie of 2025, and it absolutely delivered on everything that I wanted. James Gunn is one of my favorite directors. He's made such a great career out of comic book projects, and he understands the genre like nobody else does. He knows how to put so much depth, so much emotion into his characters. He continues to do that here. David Cornsweet is a fantastic version of Superman. I don't know quite yet if he is my favorite, but he is fantastic in this role. I wish we get to see a little bit more of him as Clark Kent, but he is Superman. And this movie, one of the things I said in my review is it's not an origin story. It drops you right into the action. It's an already established universe. The people in Metropolis already know who Superman is. He and Lois are already dating. And so we're just able to immediately go from there. And I love that. We don't have to wait 30 minutes to wait for him to finally become Superman and start saving people. We get that right out of the gate. On top of that, this has all the pieces of a James Gunn film, the cleverly timed humor, the fantastic soundtrack, the emotional moments with characters. All of that is here and present. So I absolutely love it. I think it's a fantastic movie, and could honestly, I might like it more the more times I watch it. So there you have it. That is my ranking of all 7 live-action solo Superman movies. What is your ranking of these films? Let me know down in the comments below. I got a few other James Gunn and DC videos coming pretty soon, so be on the lookout for those. And until then, subscribe to my channel. Help me reach my goal of 400 subscribers. It would really mean a lot. And keep watching movies.